Hi, everybody. Welcome to our next installment of Meet the Maker. You are going to be really excited to meet our amazing artist friend here, my amazing artist friend here today, David Gista. He is one of the most prolific artists here in Chicago. I love his work. And I met David this last year. He actually donated a beautiful piece of art to our charity Under the Same Sky for our soiree. And thank you for that, David.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for all of you to meet him today. Where you got started, how art became your passion.
Well, I grew up in France, and my parents were separated. So my father was on the French Riviera, so I had the Mediterranean
Nice.
kind of influence, which
Wow.
for colors and smells and light was very important to me.
Okay.
And most of the time I was spending in Paris, which also has a very powerful influence in your mood, in your taste, in your visuals. So the gray of Paris is where I grew up with, but I had some breaks with the brightness and
Oh my gosh.
the lusciousness of the French Riviera.
Okay,
Côte
that's
d'Azur.
like everyone's dream, like
Yeah.
to live between Paris and
Yeah.
the French Riviera.
I had the dream life, except that we were not rich. We were like just middle class.
That's
and,
okay. You live
and
in a
that's was
beautiful
fun. We
area.
had a great life.
Oh, that's great. So then was it all of the colors and the smells and the architecture that sparked your creativity?
I remember my grandmother in the south had that garden. Which for me, that was the Garden of Eden, because I spent so much time in there, and with the smells, as you say, the colors, the light. The light was very important. You know, it really inspired me tremendously. Yeah.
And so were you working with paint at an early age?
You know, it's funny. I found a painting book when I was 5 or 6.
Okay.
It was very like filled with paintings, and I guess I painted all the time, but you know, I became serious more like when I was 12, 13, where I asked my father to build me an easel, and I started to paint outside like I was playing the artist.
That's amazing. Yeah.
street.
Did you have a beret on?
I didn't have a beret. No, the
Got it.
beret was like,
Okay.
that's too cliche. You know?
Okay, a little mustache and a beret
Yeah, I
at
didn't
12.
have the mustache. No,
Okay,
no.
so painting outside,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
the
it
landscape?
was funny because I had that huge easel and that small.
Wow, yeah. I love that.
That was fun. Yeah.
So that's it. You just started with your own
Yeah, and then
paints, your own paintbrush.
It was interesting in
easel.
a lot of things. Early on, I was not sure what I wanted to do. Eventually, when I was 16, a friend of my family bought me a year subscription for live model class.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And so I started to draw naked people, which
Okay.
was kind of weird when you're a
Yeah,
teenager.
you're right, totally.
And France is a little more
Yeah,
easy
right.
on that, but still, you're 16.
You feel uncomfortable.
I was not uncomfortable, but
Okay.
a little shy.
Okay.
But then, that was very important for my training. In France, to get to art school, you have to take it's a kind of a contest. It's an exam, very hard, because it's free, but you need to be accepted.
Wow.
So they would take only 10% of the candidate, 10, 15%. The beginning of my training was more drawing. So I would spend a lot of time drawing.
Well, I mean, if we look at this piece of art, I mean, this is obviously part of your drawing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and then you have your painting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume a big love of books.
Yes.
Yeah.
The story with books is kind of interesting because I grew up in a family where a lot of the issues were fighting over books and ideas and not really fighting but debating.
Yeah.
And for me, I had a very ambivalent feeling. I like the books, and the books have always been fascinating because each book is you have so many characters, so many ideas. So it's very intense, and that small object contains so much.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating for
Like a
me
whole
because
world.
it totally triggered my imagination. But in the meantime, it was kind of a little bit of a burden. I mean, I always put humor and kind of a little irony, and it's dual. It's ironic, but it's serious at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of carrying all that on your head, all your ideas, your knowledge, that sometimes it's too much.
Yeah.
Not everything is rigid. I think there is a flow in the way we perceive things,
Yeah.
You can look at the same movie and laugh and then being sad because it triggers something else, So here the idea is like, you see those tops, they are like a drop cloth.
This is a paint drop cloth.
Yeah, for
this is your
house pattern.
background.
Yeah, this is my background. And
I
so
love it.
I like the idea of, you see, I leave them on the floor. I paint, and then it's almost like growing something. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a farmer. I farm paint.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so,
I like that analogy.
The idea is like, yeah, I mean, all those stains, all those splashes, they tell the story of the moment that was spent, as well as books.
Yeah.
So there is that parallel between, you see, in each book here, there are hundreds of people, characters.
Right.
So that's the idea of not visible, invisible. And that's the way we work as humans, you know.
Yeah.
We think about concept that nobody can see, but we can understand, all of us. We have that in common.
I love this. I'm an avid reader, so I mean, I find this really thrilling. I want people to find you and find your work. It's absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
Tell us where they can find you and where you, I think you've got a show that's going on right now. Can you tell everyone where they could?
Well, I have a show at the North Shore Art League, which is in Winnetka. It's a community house.
That's a
they have an exhibition
house.
So I have a one-man show that is named Love Rain. You know, growing up in Paris is growing up with a lot of rainy days. The memories and the emotions I have are really connected to that rainy Paris.
So everyone, go to Winnetka, to the North Shore. They have the community house there. That's amazing. It's really easy to find, easy to get into. They do a great job there. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us. And this is me and David signing off until next month. Okay, bye. And David, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Should have said that first. All right, bye, everyone.